kind of like if you drop a huge boulder into a lake, eventually the surface of the lake is smooth again, but the water hitting the shore changes the shoreline irrevocably.
At the time of the shooting, I was the editor-in-chief of the DI.
I was at work, and it was in the afternoon, and Chris Gertz, who was my boss, came into the office. There was a whole bunch of letters that he was sending out, and then he went off to a meeting, and it was at that meeting where the shooting happened.
I was in Denver, Colorado at a college newspaper conference.
And so I was sitting at my desk. I was like 2 floors above the shooting. I heard a pop, pop, pop. And my first thought was, wow, that sounded like a gun.
It was before cell phones, so somebody had to, call the hotel or the convention center. I don't even really recall where the conference was. It was all kind of a blur after that moment.
I thought all that time that the shooter was still in the building. It turned out that was not the case. He had by that time gone over to another Jessup Hall.
I had just gotten home and I was at my desk going through catalogs when the phone rang. It was Ann Hunsinger, the president's assistant. She said that there had been a shooting and they needed me.
And basically spending the next 12 hours or so on the phone from there watching CNN.
They released the pictures during the 10 o'clock news of who had been shot, and the first person was him, Chris Gertz.
I mean, it was just sort of a repulsive realization to think that in Iowa City there could be a mass shooting or a mass murder.
To be honest, I don't know that I ever really processed it as something that happened in our community.
When it happened to us, it was the first shooting at a college, and now it seems like it happens all the time.
The feeling of it's not quite as safe here as we thought it was. Maybe no place is safe anymore, really.
Back then, I don't know that, there's no guidebook for how to deal with that.
I'm sure that it was possible to talk to a counselor.
Years and years ago, back then, it wasn't recognized as such an important thing. It wasn't seen as a significant need. We really recognized that we have an obligation to provide services.
So this university has an entire threat assessment team. They're great. They have 4 full-time staff, and their job is to sort of mitigate threat. Some people on this campus do get on that trajectory, and it gets worrisome, which is the wonder of having this threat assessment team that then goes and tries to be as helpful as possible, again, to address people's grievances or betrayals or whatever is ailing them, that they're thinking on violent terms to see if there are other routes for them.
In this community, I know that a lot of people have worked very hard to make sure that we keep students safe and faculty safe.
People often think of the idea of a hotline. Unless things are really, I'm in a crisis, I shouldn't bother the hotline. Hotlines are often warm lines, meaning things don't have to be in a crisis for you to ask for help, and that's true here. There are a lot of resources on campus where it's not a huge commitment. You can just drop in and say, here's a thing that's going on, I need some help with it, and I don't ever need to come back. No problem too big or too small to come and ask for help on this campus.
Students are just so much more stressed these days. I mean, in the 30 years that have transpired.
There's a lot of resources on this campus to help you manage all the things that seem so unmanageable, and the problem is probably not entirely just you.